Hi boys and girls, this is lesson 6.1, Extended Division Facts. Please get this as well as today's date recorded in your notebook, and when you're ready with that all done, come on back. So the math message for today. The principal is ordering snack-size bags of pretzels. 9 cartons contain 540 bags. So how many bags come in a carton? Write an equation with a letter for the unknown to show your work. Give this problem a try. What would you do? How would you solve this? I hope you're thinking about what is the question really asking me, and then come up with a strategy. And if you don't know, don't panic. I'm going to go over that next. All right, so when you think you're set in your notebook with notes from this, come on back. So I hope you could see that it would be 60 bags. Here's how I solved it, okay? So I can see, I know, here's an equation, 9 times I don't know what is going to equal 540. 9 is coming from the amount of cartons, 540 is the amount of bags. What I don't know is how many bags are in each of those cartons, right? So I'm going to try and figure that out. Here's how I look at this. I see 9 and 54. I know it's 540, but I see the 54, and I know a fact that goes with that. So I know 9 times 6 equals 54, so 9 times 60 would be 540. Remembering that I can use a basic fact to solve an extended fact problem. Okay, so this is the way I would do it. You might have a different equation, that's okay, but this is the concept that you should have been able to get to, okay? I could have written this as a division one as well by saying 540 divided by 9 equals K. That would have worked also, okay? So let's get down some information so that when we're talking about division, we're using the same language. So in this problem, 540 divided by 9 equals 60. I want to make sure that you understand that this number, the number being divided, is called the dividend. Okay? The number being divided. Make sure you get this in your notes. The number that I'm dividing into the dividend is the divisor. And then the answer in a division problem, or the result of this, is the quotient. All right? Okay, some questions to ask. Once you get all this down, some questions to ask you. Why can you solve the math message problem using either multiplication or division? Why does that make sense? It does. Tell me why you think so. Write this in your notes. Do you see how we can think of the numbers in this problem as an extended fact family? What are those facts that I could be using? Write that down, what you think. And can you describe the relationship between these three numbers, 1, 2, 3, in terms of multiples and factors? Remember that work back from a while ago? A different unit? How does that happen? And how can knowing that 9 and 60 are a factor pair for 540 help you understand that 540 divided by 9 equals 60? Why is this useful? Okay, I want you to jot some notes to those questions, and when you have that down, come on back because we are going to talk them through next. So the reason that I can solve the math message problem with multiplication or division is because I know that multiplication and division are related. They're opposite operations. So that's really a helpful thing to keep in mind. They work together. And the facts that are the extended fact family, hopefully you said 9 times 60 equals 540, or I could say 60 times 9 equals 540. 540 divided by 60 equals 9. 540 divided by 9 equals 60. You can actually picture that fact triangle, right? So 540 would be up here. Oh goodness, small writing. Not my friend. 60 could be in one corner, and 9 could be in the other corner. Yeah. So I can actually picture this fact triangle when I'm thinking about this. Hopefully you can do that as well. And talking in terms of multiples and factors, I hope you know 9 and 60 are factors of 540, and 540 is a multiple of 9 and a multiple of 60. So if I was counting by 60s, I would, on my 9th number listed, be at 540. If I was skip counting by 9, on my 60th skip counting, I would get to 540. Make sense? And if I was going to do a factor tree for 540, 9 and 60 would be one of my factor pairs. You see that? It's important to get that relationship because it really helps us solidify why we can do this as a division problem or as a multiplication problem. And for a lot of people, multiplication is the easier of those two operations, so knowing that they're related is very helpful. And then a multiple is divisible by its factors. You know that to be true. I just talked about that. If you divide a multiple by one number in a factor pair, so if I divide 540 by 60, the answer is going to be the other number in the factor pair, which is 9. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. Think that through. Listen again if you need any of that clarified for yourself. Hopefully you're there with me. All right, so just like we can use extended facts to help us with multiplication, we can also use them to help us with division. Isn't that handy? So for example, think about this problem. 35 divided by 7. Again, you can always picture that triangle. Okay, if I have 35 here and 7 here, what's going to be over in this corner? You probably know. So if I know this, can I also know this? And can I also know this? So think that through and fill that out, and then come on back and we'll talk it through in the next one. Oops. Goodness, I'm all over the place. Okay, so let's just go ahead and talk this through. So 35 divided by 5 I know is 35 divided by 7, I should say, I know is 5. 5 could go here, right? And if I know that, I am thinking about, in order to get the 50 times 7 is 350. I've got that 1 0 there and there, right? Keep that in mind. And then I can see that here I'm going to need to have a couple of them in my answer, because that gives me 1, 2 total. There's none on my 7, none on the 7 there, so that's why this makes sense, 2 and 2, right? Okay, so that should be helpful. Let's try another one of those. Here it is. You try it. If it helps you to do this for yourself, feel free to do that. Fill that in. Think that problem through. When you have that, come on back. So hopefully you would be able to say, well, I think I'll just fill this in over here. 32, 8, it's 4. So I've got 4, 40, and 400, right? Appending those zeros like we did when we were doing multiplication. Same thing is going to work here, and you can see that this could be a division or multiplication fact triangle right on. All right, one more set. Give that a go. Once you have it done, then come on back. Two, 6, 7, 70, 700. Now, there is a common misconception that people make when they're working with the zeros. As we saw on this slide, I said there's 1 0 here, so there's 1 0 here. Don't mistake that for what the common problem is here. So in my basic fact, there's already going to be a 0, so that's going to give this a little bit of a tricky feel, I'm afraid. So 40, you know, is 8 times 5, I hope. But this one, be careful. So if I do this, 8 times 50, I hope you know it's going to give me 400, because there's already going to be 1 0 just from the 8 times 5 is 40, and then this 0 is accounted for on here. So if you look and say, some people like to think, well, however many zeros are here, that's how many zeros are here. but clearly that doesn't work here, right? If there's a 40 in my basic fact, you can't just count those zeros and make that work. You have to think the problem through. So hopefully you see that, and you could see this would be this. It certainly wouldn't make sense to say, oh, there are 3 zeros here, so it must be 5,000. 4,000 divided by 8 wouldn't be 5,000. That doesn't make logical sense. So make sure you always have your logic going when you're working on math as well. Here's that misconception. Okay? Now, you're going to complete page 191 in your math journal for practice. When you have those done, to the best of your ability, you're going to come on back to the next slide to check out your answers. All right, have a great night. Here are those answers. Hopefully this all makes good sense to you. It will really help us as we go on in this unit.